It's happened. The coroner's truck drove up.
We had a candy striper. Well, it was really a reporter dressed up like a candy striper, trying to get in the room to get in there. She got a picture taken.
How did it come that you published Tupac's autopsy in your book?
It was leaked to me, and because of the mainstream articles about him faking his own death, we went ahead and made a decision to include it in the book.
Footage of the coroner's van pulling up to the hospital which Tupac was being treated in had been released in the 2023 TV miniseries Dear Mama. Reporters can be heard saying it's happening being in reference to the truck pulling up, knowing it was most likely for Tupac. Just prior to this moment, a reporter who was disguised as a hospital volunteer had managed to breach security and had snuck into Tupac's hospital room with a camera. The reporter either got photos or video footage of Tupac in his final condition. Security had recognized it was a reporter in disguise and had been able to take the film off them which contained the photos of Tupac. This means there exists what's known as lost media of the very last picture of Tupac alive in the ICU. An aftermath photo of his body was released in a 1997 book by Kathy Scott, which had been captured within the county coroner's office. The coroner's office fell under investigation by the Las Vegas police due to its nature of such a high-profile person, with camcorders and surveillance systems only becoming popular less than a decade prior to the Tupac incident. A lot of footage, both lost and found, has been captured which documents Tupac's final moments. In this video, we're going to take a look into the final pieces of media documenting the last moments of Tupac's life, which includes the lost media taken of his very last moment alive. Tupac met his demise in Las Vegas, which is the 9th most surveilled city in the United States. The earliest documented pieces of captured media made during the day of the incident which had led to Tupac's demise comes from within the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas. Tupac's bodyguard Frank Alexander had revealed that Tupac had been gambling, playing craps at a table in the Luxor for a considerable amount of time, being on a day the incident had taken place. Search results claim the photos come from within the MGM Grand. However, his bodyguard claimed it had been in a Luxor hotel prior to going to the MGM Grand where Tupac had been playing craps, which seems to have been captured in the photos. Tupac's bodyguard Frank Alexander revealed how Tupac had $10,000 as spending money. Tupac was signed to Death Row Records headed by Suge Knight. Death Row at the time was worth $500 million. Tupac and other Death Row artists were granted a guaranteed $10,000 every Friday as an allowance. The $10,000 payments were delivered in cash to the artists every Friday. Tupac had saved the cash for the following day, seen in these photos, using it to gamble in Las Vegas on a Saturday. The $10,000 cash payments Tupac was using in the photos as an allowance by Death Row were looked down upon by the artists, believing they were owed more. These $10,000 cash payments, which Tupac was seen gambling with in some of the first photos captured prior to his demise, was one of the reasons why Tupac began the process of filing an audit on Death Row Records in the last 2 weeks of August 1996. The filing was under the claims of withheld royalty payments, failure to deliver advance payments, and mishandling of financial accounts. Attorneys found $13 million worth of disposable unpaid cash was being withheld by Death Row Records as available payouts to artists. It was discovered Tupac was being charged $3,000 in child support for Nate Dogg's child, being a different artist on Death Row. Tupac was also found to have been being charged over $100,000 by a leasing company owned by Suge Knight, which were expenses and gifts of jewelry from Suge Knight charged back to Tupac. Tupac was in $5 million worth of personal debt, with him having just $105,000 in his account. Tupac was also contractually $2 million unrecouped, owing Death Row Records for production costs.
I discovered he had next to zero, next to nothing. I discovered that the home that he had thought that he had just bought was not his.
Afeni Shakur now wants to know whether her son Tupac was cheated out of his money by a man he had come to trust, Marion Suge Knight.
Tupac's album All Eyes on Me, released under Death Row in February of 1996, had gone on to generate $60 million in sales. Yasmin Fula, who managed Tupac's business affairs and was assisting with the audit filing, requested access to Tupac's master records, but was denied by Death Row's attorney David Kenner. Tupac had then attempted to leave with his masters from a Can-Am studio session, but had been stopped by security, who were informed by Suge Knight not to allow anyone to take masters. The 2007 documentary Tupac Assassination Conspiracy or Revenge puts information forward that the masters may have been being mortgaged from Death Row's distributor Interscope.
And now Tupac's mother says not only is her son's money missing, but more importantly, the master recordings of the some 200 songs he wrote and sang, potentially worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
We don't know where the masters are because we can't get an accounting.
Due to the unpaid debts, Tupac felt let down by the $10,000 allowance payments, which he had been seen using to gamble with in some of his last moments captured on tape. Frank Alexander revealed Tupac was up while gambling, making a profit off of the $10,000 allowance. From being seen in photos gambling at the Luxor, they had then moved over to the MGM Grand, where the next pieces of footage come from. Several photos captured by fans pictured Tupac within the MGM Grand, being while he was waiting for Suge Knight to meet him there. A Mike Tyson fight was taking place in the MGM Grand, but this was not the main reason why Tupac was there. The Tyson fight was being used as a motive to host a fundraiser for a Las Vegas Metro cop called Patrick Barry, being held in Club 662. The nightclub was previously called Botany's, whose former owner was convicted for skimming money for the Chicago mob from the Stardust Hotel, being back when the mob ran Vegas. Death Row business manager Steve Cantrock had introduced Suge Knight to New York Colombo mob associate Robert Amira. Robert Amira had then introduced Suge Knight to the woman who had purchased Botany's, being a Las Vegas businesswoman called Helen Thomas. Suge Knight invested in a nightclub which was rebranded as 662, with this spelling out MOB on a keypad, being the street gang Suge Knight was affiliated to in Compton called Members of Blood. 662 was also the Californian penal code for death row inmates. Surveillance footage of the club was captured by the feds, which was taken in 1995. The nightclub's business attorney was a Vegas lawyer by the name of George Kalisis, who had organized a fundraiser at the nightclub for Barry's Boxing, being an organization by a Las Vegas Metro cop called Patrick Barry. The fundraiser was set up for two reasons regarding death row. The first was to provide an event for the granting of appliance of permits for the club by Suge Knight. The second was to provide an event for Tupac to serve community service at to avoid jail time. David Kenner was both Tupac's defense attorney and entertainment attorney, which was pointed out as a conflict of interest by Yasmin Fula, causing Tupac to fire David Kenner as an attorney in the last 2 weeks of August.
Tupac's family says in the months before his death, Tupac was fast catching on and preparing to break free of his reliance on death row and its lawyer, his lawyer, David Kenner.
A few days before he was killed, he formally sent a letter telling David Kenner that he no longer can represent him.
David Kenner had worked with George Kalisis in providing the event as circumstances approved by a judge, where Tupac would have to perform at the benefit gig for the Las Vegas Metro Cop in order to serve community service. Tupac had broken the three strikes law in California, and therefore David Kenner had the case moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, in order to circumvent the law and avoid jail time. Therefore, Tupac had travelled to Las Vegas and was in the MGM Grand attending the Mike Tyson fight, before being set to travel to Club 662 to serve community service. The Tyson fight lasted just over a minute, and Tupac and Suge Knight were captured by cameras leaving the fight, where Tupac is visibly amped up from the fight.
See that? 50 punches, I counted.
Suge Knight was with Compton MOB Pyru associates, including Trayvon Lane. Trayvon Lane was involved in an altercation with Southside Compton Crip Orlando Anderson, who had tried to steal Trayvon Lane's death row chain in the Lakewood Mall in California. Orlando Anderson was an associate of P. Diddy, who was reported as giving the Southside Compton Crips tickets to his shows when he would perform in California, due to animosity which P. Diddy had with death row. A rumor on the streets of Compton was that P. Diddy had put a bounty on the death row chains, leading to Orlando Anderson trying to steal the chain. While leaving the fight in the MGM Grand lobby, Trayvon Lane had spotted Orlando Anderson and pointed him out to Tupac and Suge Knight. CCTV within the MGM Grand had captured footage of Tupac and Suge Knight along with the MOB Pyrus rushing Orlando Anderson. CCTV footage further showed Tupac and Suge Knight rapidly exiting the MGM Grand, followed by a large crowd. This was the last footage captured within the casinos. After being captured on tape leaving the MGM Grand, Tupac returned to his hotel room and considered equipping his bulletproof vest. Tupac's fellow group artists Idi Amin and Gaddafi, who were with Tupac at the time, had gone on to report that he decided not to wear the vest due to the temperature in Las Vegas. Tupac, after changing outfits, had then travelled to Suge Knight's house to leave for Club 662. This is the very last verified, publicly released video footage of Tupac alive, which shows him and Suge Knight with an entourage talking to girls while waiting outside a venue. This is the last verified, publicly released photo of Tupac alive, which shows him riding passenger in Suge Knight's BMW. At around 11:15 p.m. while the BMW was travelling to Club 662 on the Las Vegas Strip, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside them and fired 13 times into the BMW. Footage which was uploaded onto YouTube in 2017 claimed to have captured the last 4 shots fired into the BMW. The footage contains many inconsistencies compared to the real event, which can most likely rule it out as fake. The footage is missing the presence of K-Dub's car, which was present at the scene directly in front of the BMW. Suge Knight spoke on this car in the 2018 TV documentary American Dream, American Nightmare.
At the last minute, one of the little dudes who deal with Reg, he did something that he know not to do. He cuts in front of us.
The white car in the footage placed beside what is supposed to be the BMW has been speculated to have been one of 2 cars. Either a car containing 4 girls who are fans of Tupac's who were riding in a convertible, however the footage shows no convertible present. Both Tupac's group artist Idi Amin, who is in the car behind, as well as Suge Knight, had both claimed that the girl's car had already left before the shooter's car had pulled up. Suge Knight claimed the car in that lane which is seen in the footage was of Suge Knight's blood entourage including Alton Buntry McDonald, who had pulled in beside them after the girls had made the right and told Suge to get over.
As he cuts in front of us, we stop in here. My road dog pulls in this lane, telling me to get over. As I'm proceeding to get over, the other car comes right there, which is a Cadillac.
The footage contains more inconsistencies, such as it missing the large plume of smoke which bodyguard Frank Alexander had reported seeing after the shots had stopped.
And once it stopped, all you saw was all of this smoke going up in the air.
I seen Pac like trying to jump over the back seat and like a bunch of smoke in the car.
The footage also shows the BMW speeding off immediately along with the Cadillac. Frank Alexander, however, confirmed how the Cadillac had taken off while the BMW stayed stationary momentarily, which gave enough time for Frank Alexander to run up towards the BMW. K-Dub, who was in front of the BMW, had also claimed to have gotten out of the car and approached the BMW. He claimed to have seen Suge Knight clutching the steering wheel looking shocked.
So I jumped out my car and ran back to the car. And then I, Suge, you're alright, and he was just holding on to the steering wheel.
Suge Knight then took off and done a U-turn with Frank Alexander running back to the car he was driving to follow them. The footage shows Frank Alexander's car following Suge and Suge making a U-turn. The footage does not show the white car making a left and chasing after the Cadillac, which had taken place during the incident as Buntry had chased the Cadillac and exchanged fire. Due to the obvious inconsistencies in the footage, although it is filmed in the same location, it is most probably a behind-the-scenes video of a reconstruction made for the various films and TV shows about the topic. The BMW had come to a stop a few blocks away in the middle of the Las Vegas Strip, with the tires being blown out from Suge Knight jumping medians while panic driving. The first officer on the scene was a bicycle cop called Chris Carroll, who had followed Suge Knight's BMW driving erratically. The police pulled Suge Knight out of the BMW and apprehended the convoy of people. Footage from the scene shows Yaki Gaddafi, who was travelling behind Tupac, being questioned by the police. Suge Knight and Tupac left in an ambulance, and the police secured the scene, putting up police tape. News footage showed police questioning people on the scene and interviewing witnesses. A notorious news interview carried out on the scene was with American TV show host Paige Hemis, who claimed to have witnessed Tupac being airlifted by a helicopter.
By the time we got here, they were already taking, which now I found out was Tupac, into the helicopter away. He had been shot.
The interview with the American actress, along with a news report which made the same claim, had fueled the Tupac is still alive theories. Paige Hemis had been pictured around death row several different times, and several theories spread connecting her accounts into the incident. The helicopter theory went as far as creating a documentary, The Great Escape from UMC, which claimed Tupac escaped in a helicopter to Mexico. This was tied into the Wonder If Heaven's Got a Ghetto music video by Tupac, which shows him being transported by a helicopter to Mexico to recover from the Vegas incident, being dated the day after passing. Tupac had actually have been taken to hospital by an ambulance with Suge Knight. In 2019, YouTube channel Wired Up TV uploaded what was claimed to be a picture of Tupac in the back of the ambulance after the incident had taken place. Tupac was taken to the University Medical Center in Las Vegas. The Dear Mama documentary released a photo of an x-ray showing a bullet in her lungs. This was the worst of the 4 injuries Tupac had sustained, with the x-ray believed to be from the night. As a result of what had taken place, Tupac was placed under sedation into a medically induced coma, being overseen in the ICU. He had had a lung removed and was placed on a respirator. Tupac's father Billy Garland revealed that he had numerous medical tubes attached to him and his head was swollen to twice its size. He also revealed that he had a zipper installed on his stomach. These are called surgical zippers, which are skin closure devices used for access in surgery. Billy Garland claimed doctors had installed an abdominal zipper on Tupac due to the surgeries they were carrying out. The abdominal zippers had only become perfected in medical practice 3 years earlier in 1993. Doctors had given interviews to the news outside the hospital describing Tupac's condition.
He remains in critical condition, which was his condition when he arrived here at UMC.
News reporters gathered outside the hospital and captured footage of several people visiting Tupac. MC Hammer can be seen at the hospital visiting Tupac. Yaki Gaddafi can be seen outside the hospital getting a pat on the stomach in support. Suge Knight can be seen outside the hospital with a wound to the head. Suge Knight's head wound has been disputed. Suge himself claims he was hit in the head with a bullet, which is still stuck an inch away from his skull. Others claim he was grazed or hit by fragments of glass.
Suge Knight didn't help his credibility by saying he had a bullet stuck in his head, when in fact medical evidence showed he was only scratched by a piece of flying glass.
He just had a minor injury to the head.
MTV had gotten access inside the hospital, where they had gotten further information on Tupac's condition. Tupac remained in critical condition, but was responsive to visitors while in a comatose state. Security guard Kevin Hackey revealed how Tupac's eyes were open, but his pupils were completely dilated and cloudy. Tupac's brother Mopreme Shakur had visited him and claimed Tupac began to furiously shake the bed, as if he was desperate to tell him something. Death Row artist Danny Boy, who can be seen in footage outside the hospital, had sung A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke at Tupac's hospital bed, with Danny Boy claiming tears began to roll out of Tupac's eyes. The doctors had revealed to reporters how Tupac's room was on the first floor.
What floor is that?
First floor.
Reggie Wright Jr., a former Compton cop who was the head of security for Death Row Records, had several security guards protecting the room. Kevin Hackey, who was a former Compton School District cop and was one of Tupac's bodyguards, had been discovered at the hospital to have been an undercover asset for the feds. Police reports show that Kevin Hackey was discovered as an undercover asset for the feds while visiting Tupac in the hospital. Hackey had been using the hospital phone to report Tupac's condition and situation back to the feds and was reported as using his credentials against the staff for access of the hospital. Kevin Hackey later revealed the feds have lost media of the incident taking place on the Vegas Strip. He had claimed to have seen paperwork which stated agents were in cars behind Tupac's convoy and were capturing surveillance photos of the incident taking place. Tupac's rap group The Outlaws had set up their own security perimeter outside the hospital, where they drove off paparazzi trying to obtain pictures of the star's last moments. However, an internal security breach had happened. Reggie Wright Jr. revealed in an interview with Cam Capone News that a reporter disguised as a candy striper, which is a hospital volunteer, had made it past security into Tupac's room and either got pictures or footage of Tupac in critical condition. Security guards then apprehended the person and confiscated the film. It is the only existing photo of Tupac's very last moments, which remains as a piece of lost media, as it has never officially surfaced. A YouTube video from 2017 claims to have released a photo stating it shows the only two existing photos of Tupac on life support. Tupac had multiple cardiac arrests on September 13th, 1996, and had been revived by doctors numerous times. Tupac's mother, Afeni, when learning of this, told the doctors not to continue with reviving him. The University Medical Center where Tupac was being treated was at the time one of the best in the world for trauma treatment and could have kept him alive in the same comatose condition. The cop on the scene, Chris Carroll, had claimed Tupac had practically already passed at the scene 6 days prior, but the doctors were able to keep him alive. Footage from outside the hospital had showed the aftermath, including the coroner's van arriving. Afeni can be seen running away from the hospital following the passing of her son. Tupac's body was transported on a gurney from the ICU to the coroner's van, where it was then transported to the Clark County Coroner's Office in Las Vegas. An autopsy was carried out on Tupac's body, and during it, somebody had taken a photo of it taking place. The photo, which we cannot show here, had been released in a 1997 book by author Kathy Scott. The Internal Affairs Bureau of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department had launched an investigation into how the autopsy photo was released to the author. The investigation revealed how several different people, including police officers, had taken photos of Tupac's body at the morgue. The National Enquirer was offering a $100,000 reward for photos of Tupac in the morgue, so detectives would be able to apply embezzlement charges if morgue employees use county property to take the picture and profit from it. It was learned that 2 general assignment detectives had taken Polaroid photos of Tupac's body in the morgue to be used in a police training book. These photos, however, were not the same ones which had surfaced in the Kathy Scott book. The photo which had surfaced in the book, investigators claimed, was not an official coroner or police photo. Although at least 9 employees combined of the Las Vegas Metro PD and the Clark County Coroner's Office were questioned, no one had been charged due to lack of evidence. The investigation ended after a month as the Las Vegas police did not find enough evidence to charge one of the 9 employees with capturing the photo. The Clark County Coroner's Office issued a report stating Tupac died from respiratory failure due to internal bleeding. Tupac's autopsy report was further tied into the Tupac is alive theory due to mistakes made in the report about Tupac's personal details. Tupac's social security number had not been registered in the official death index. The autopsy report also described Tupac's height and weight as 6 feet 215 pounds, whereas his driver's license read 5'10", 168 pounds. After Tupac's body was processed, it was then transported from the Clark County Coroner's Office to a private crematorium. Suge Knight paid $3 million for a speedy cremation, being under the request of Afeni. Compton cop James Green was responsible for transferring Tupac's ashes back to Los Angeles from Las Vegas. Tupac's cremation was further tied into the Tupac is alive theory. Michael Nice, who made claims of being on Tupac Shakur's security team, has pushed the Tupac is alive theory, claiming he was in possession of city records, which reveal nobody with the name Tupac Amaru Shakur had been cremated on September 14th, 1996. Following Tupac's demise, the spotlight was put onto Orlando Anderson, who most people feel was responsible. Footage from the 10-day war also surfaced, which was captured by news crews.
After Tupac's murder, there were over 20 shootings in Compton over a 10-day period between the Pyrus associated with Death Row and the Crips. The so-called gang war is regarded by Hackey and ex-detective Pull as being used to take attention away from Suge Knight's involvement in Tupac and Biggie's murder.
Following the immediate aftermath in Las Vegas, it sparked what was called the 10-day war in Compton. 12 shootings broke out in Compton between September 9th to September 19th, being between the Compton MOB Pyrus and the Southside Compton Crips. A gang war had broken out in Compton due to the events in Las Vegas, with the war claiming the lives of 3 people. Bobby Finch was a resident of 1513 South Mayo Avenue, with this being a Southside Compton Crip territory, with his neighbor being the girlfriend of Corey Edwards, a Southside Compton Crip who was in Las Vegas when the incident had happened and was also associated to P. Diddy. Corey Edwards had told Bobby Finch to leave the area as it would be getting dangerous due to the events in Las Vegas. Bobby Finch was the brother of Larry Finch, a Compton School District cop, being the same division as federal asset Kevin Hackey. Bobby Finch was taken out in a drive-by being outside his house 4 days after the Tupac incident. His autopsy revealed he had been subjected to an AK-47, being hit 13 times. A confidential informant had told Compton police on September 17, 1996, that Suge Knight had delivered a load of AK-47 assault rifles, being to Blood gang members in the Nickerson Gardens housing projects. Compton rumors spread that Suge Knight affiliate MOB Piru member Roger Neckbone Williams had been behind a hit on Bobby Finch in a case of mistaken identity intended for Corey Edwards. Compton MOB Piru's Timothy Flanagan and Marcus Childs were two other casualties as a result of the war. Southside Crip Darnell Brim almost became a fourth after being ambushed in a convenience store and shot several times. Darnell Brim had covered a 10-year-old bystander by the name of Lacasia McNeese who had caught a stray bullet, and the suspect, when approaching Darnell Brim to finish the job, had seen the 10-year-old in cover beneath him, so the suspect spared his life as a result. News crews captured cleanups of the scenes which we can't show, but we can show the police response to the 10-day war. Footage was captured from a series of gang raids in Compton, which had been carried out against the Bloods and Crips 2 weeks after the 10-day war. The Compton raids, which had took place on October 3rd, 1996, had targeted suspected gang members of the Bloods and Crips involved in the Vegas incident. Over 300 law enforcement officers had participated in the raids, arresting 23 people including Orlando Anderson, whose arrest was caught on tape. Compton PD were ready to hand Orlando Anderson over to the Las Vegas PD, but they requested for his release due to lack of evidence. Orlando Anderson was then subjected to several recordings based around the Tupac case. One comes from an interview carried out with Orlando Anderson with his attorney present, where he is discovered as lying. Orlando Anderson is carrying out the interview in response to a lawsuit filed against him by Afeni Shakur. He is asked in the interview of his whereabouts when Tupac had gotten shot, to which he replies with he was at home. Orlando Anderson, however, was on CCTV as being in Las Vegas, not being in Compton. His attorney steps in and says, "We don't want to say that."
When did you hear that Tupac was shot?
When I heard that Tupac was shot, when I was at home.
No, okay.
Orlando Anderson's deposition video had also been released, being in his civil trial against Tupac's estate. When asked if he knows anyone who owns a white Cadillac, he answers no but nods his head yes.
Do you know anyone who owns a white Cadillac?
No.
Further lost media was reported by the LA Times, which claimed Orlando Anderson and the Southside Compton Crips are on CCTV footage at the Treasure Island Hotel as obtaining the white Cadillac from valet parking after the incident in the MGM Grand. The CCTV footage from within the MGM Grand had been publicized after being submitted into evidence in Suge Knight's probation violation case in October of 1996. Suge Knight's trial was televised where he was found guilty of violating his probation due to the MGM Grand tape, and he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. Footage from the scene of Orlando Anderson's demise had also been captured. Orlando Anderson was taken out by corner pocket Crips at a car wash in May of 1998. Police body cam footage captured the arrest of Orlando Anderson's uncle Keefe D in September of 2023, being charged in relation to Tupac. His arrest came following a breach of a proffer agreement that he made with a government task force in 2008. An LAPD cop called Greg Kading was hired in the mid-2000s to reinvestigate the Biggie Smalls case. Biggie's family sued the LAPD for $500 million, claiming the LAPD, hired by Death Row, had been behind Biggie's demise 6 months after Tupac's. Greg Kading, then investigating the Biggie case, had found reports which created a connection between Southside Compton Crip shot caller Keefe D and P. Diddy. Keefe D was then set up in a sting operation by the task force, and he was given immunity to discuss any knowledge of the Biggie and Tupac cases. Keefe D was then secretly recorded and had confessed to being involved in the Tupac case. Keefe D in an audio claimed to have been hired by P. Diddy to take out Suge Knight and Tupac for $1 million. He had said the incident in the MGM Grand had provided the perfect opportunity, to which Orlando Anderson had carried out the drive-by. Keefe D's secretly recorded confession audio had been published in Greg Kading's 2015 documentary called Murder Rap. Keefe D from 2017 onward had breached his immunity, which was only applicable between himself and a task force. He began going on TV and internet platforms repeating the claims that he was involved in a Tupac case. Keefe D had released a book called Compton Street Legend in 2019, where he had described his relationship to P. Diddy in depth. Keefe D racked up millions of views online, repeating his claims of being involved in a Tupac case, with him persisting he was financed by P. Diddy. Biggie's case came 6 months later, which was believed to be in retaliation to Tupac. Biggie also had an autopsy photo captured, which had been released in a 2001 TV series called PBS Frontline, in a 2001 episode called LAPD Blues. Much like the Tupac autopsy photo, it's unsolved as to who had captured it. Michael Douglas Carlin, who was the co-author to LAPD detective Russell Paul, who had been the person who had put forth the LAPD theory of Biggie, claimed to have had information which indicated a cop who was accused in the case, Rafael Perez, had gone to the morgue to identify Biggie's body and confirm the hit. Keefe D, after breaking the immunity which only applied between himself and the task force, was eventually arrested in September of 2023, which was caught on tape. The raids on Keefe D's Las Vegas properties as part of the investigation were also caught on tape. Following Keefe D's arrest, a lot of unreleased photos and video have been released, as they have been presented to a Las Vegas grand jury in October of 2023. 4 photos from Tupac's autopsy had also been shown to the grand jury. In this video, we took a look into several different pieces of media which had documented the very last moments of Tupac Shakur. A news reporter disguised as a hospital volunteer had captured the very last photo of Tupac alive. The photo has never surfaced officially, although a YouTube video from 2017 claims to have uploaded 2 of the photos captured. A majority of the people in the comment section of the video believe the photos are fake, due to them being unrecognizable. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, smash the thumbs up button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and press that bell button so you can get all the future notifications for when I upload. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.